I want to know the facts. If you go back to my story, I brought it. As I said on Remember Saturday, we condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It has no place in America. Then I went on to live. Now here's the thing, as students, excuse me, take it nice and easy. Here's the thing. When I make a statement, I like to be correct. I want the facts. This event just happened. In fact, a lot of the event didn't even happen yet as we were speaking. This event just happened. Before I make a statement, I need the facts. So I don't want to rush into a statement. So making the statement when I made it was excellent. In fact, the young woman, who I hear is a fantastic young woman, and it was on NBC, her mother wrote me and said, through, I guess, Twitter, social media, the nicest things, and I very much appreciated that. I hear she was a fine, really actually an incredible young woman, but her mother on Twitter thanked me for what I said. And honestly, if the press were not fake, and if it was honest, the press would have said what I said was very nice. But unlike you, and unlike you, and unlike the media, before I make a statement, I like to know the facts. They don't. How about a couple of minutes? How about a couple of minutes? Say it, what? Not at all. I think the country, look, you take a look. I've created over 1 million jobs since I'm president. The country is booming. The stock market is setting records. We have the highest employment numbers we've ever had in the history of our country. We're doing record business. We have the highest levels of enthusiasm. So the head of Walmart, who I know, a very nice guy, was making a political statement. I mean, I do it the same way. You know what? Because I want to make sure, when I make a statement, that the statement is correct. And there was no way of making a correct statement that early. I had to see the facts, unlike a lot of reporters. I didn't know David Duke was there. I wanted to see the facts. And the facts, as they started coming out, were very well stated. In fact, everybody said his statement was beautiful. If he would have made it sooner, that would have been good. I couldn't have made it sooner because I didn't know all of the facts. Frankly, people still don't know all of the facts. It was very important, excuse me. It was very important to me to get the facts out and correctly. Because if I would have made a fast statement, and the first statement was made without knowing much other than what we were seeing. The second statement was made after with knowledge, with great knowledge. There's still things, excuse me, there's still things that people don't know. I want to make a statement with knowledge. I want you to know the facts.
Two questions. Was this terrorism? And can you tell us what you're feeling about your piece about this?
Well, I think the driver of the car is a disgrace to himself, his family, and this country. And that is, you can call it terrorism. You can call it murder. You can call it whatever you want. I would just call it as the fastest one to come up with a good verdict. That's what I call it. Because there is a question. Is it murder? Is it terrorism? And then you get into legal semantics. The driver of the car is a murderer. And what he did was a horrible, horrible, inexcusable thing.
Do you have a feeling about this piece of
I never spoke to Mr. Bannon.
Tell us probably what you're got to comment.
Well, let's see. And look, I like Mr. Bannon. He's a friend of mine. But Mr. Bannon came on very late, you know. I went through 17 senators, governors, and I won all the primaries. Mr. Bannon came on very much later than that. And I like him. He's a good man. He is not a racist, I can tell you that. He's a good person. He actually gets a very unfair press in that regard. But we'll see what happens with Mr. Bannon. But he's a good person, and I think the press treats him, frankly, very unfairly.
Defend your National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, against
clearly voted against us getting good health care.
Being said that the alt-right is behind these attacks, and you link that same group to those who perpetrated the attack in Charlottesville.
Well, I don't know. I can't tell you. I'm sure Senator McCain must know what he's talking about. But when you say the alt-right, define alt-right. You can define it.
Well, as I'm defining it, Senator McCain defined them as the same group.
Okay, what about the alt-left? Excuse me. What about the alt-left? They came charging at the, as you say, the alt-right. Do they have any semblance of guilt? Let me ask you this. What about the fact that they came charging with clubs in their hands, swinging clubs? Do they have any problem? I think they do. So, as far as I'm concerned, that was a horrible, horrible day. Wait a minute. I'm not finished. I'm not finished, fake news. That was a horrible day. I watched this very closely, much more closely than you people watched it. And you had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it right now. You had a group on the other side that came charging in without a permit, and they were very, very violent.
Would you call the alt-left is the same as neo-Nazis?
All of those people, excuse me, I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists by any stretch. Those people were also there because they wanted to protest the taking down of a statue, Robert E. Lee. So, excuse me, and you take a look at some of the groups and you see, and you know it if you were honest reporters, which in many cases you're not, but many of those people were there to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. So, this week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week, and is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop? But they were there to protest, excuse me, take a look the night before, they were there to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. Infrastructure question, go ahead. Does that not Robert E. Lee stay up? I would say that's up to a local town, community, or the federal government, depending on where it is located.
Are you guys looking at those things? Regulations in America, do you think things have gotten worse or better since the office?
I think they've gotten better, or to say, look, they've been frayed for a long time, and you can ask President Obama about that because he makes speeches about it. But I believe that the fact that I brought in, it will be soon, millions of jobs, you see where companies are moving back into our country, I think that's going to have a tremendous positive impact on race relations. We have companies coming back into our country. We have 2 car companies that just announced. We have Foxconn in Wisconsin just announced. We have many companies, I say, pouring back into the country. I think that's going to have a huge positive impact on race relations. You know why? It's jobs. What people want now, they want jobs. They want great jobs with good pay. And when they have that, you watch how race relations will be. And I'll tell you, we're spending a lot of money on the inner cities. We're fixing the inner cities. We're doing far more than anybody's done with respect to the inner cities. It's a priority for me. And it's very important. I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, you just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is. I think there's blame. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And if you reported it accurately, you would say it. excuse me, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a farm from Robert E. Lee to another name. George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits, and with the helmets, and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group.
It turns out, you understand what you're saying. You're saying the press has treated white nationalists unfairly?
No.
I don't understand what you're saying.
There were people in that rally, and I looked the night before. If you look, there were people protesting very quietly the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. I'm sure in that group there were some bedlams. The following day it looked like they had some rough, bad people. Neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. You had a lot of people in that group that were there to innocently protest, and very legally protest, because, you know, I don't know if you know, they had a permit. The other group didn't have a permit. So, I only tell you this, there are two sides to the story. I thought what took place was a horrible moment for our country, a horrible moment. But there are two sides to the country. Does anybody have a final? Does anybody have? You have an infrastructure.
What makes you think you get an infrastructure? You didn't get health care.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, we came very close with health care. Unfortunately, John McCain decided to vote against it at the last minute. You'll have to ask John McCain why he did that. But we came very close to health care. We will end up getting health care. But we'll get the infrastructure, and actually infrastructure is something that I think will have bipartisan support. I actually think Democrats will go along with the infrastructure.
Have you spoken to the family? Have you spoken to the family of the victims of the car?
No, I'll be reaching out. I was I thought that the statement put out, the mother's statement, I thought was a beautiful statement. I must tell you, it was something that I really appreciated. I thought it was terrific, and really under the kind of stress that she's under and the heartache that she's under, I thought putting out that statement to me was really something I won't forget. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
You plan to go to Charlottesville? Good afternoon, and welcome to the lead, and wow. That was something else. Oh, he's still talking. Let's stay listening.
It's in Charlottesville. You'll see. It is the winery. I mean, I know a lot about Charlottesville. Charlottesville is a great place that's been very badly hurt over the last couple of days. I own actually one of the largest wineries in the United States. It's in Charlottesville. What do you think needs to be done to overcome the racial divide? Well, I really think jobs can have a big impact. I think if we continue to create jobs, over 1 million, substantially more than 1 million, and you see just the other day, the car companies coming in with Fox, Fox. I think if we continue to create jobs at levels that I'm creating jobs, I think that's going to have a tremendous impact, positive impact on race relations. And what I'm saying today, how do you think that will impact the racial? Because the people are going to be working, they're going to be making a lot of money, much more money than they ever thought possible. That's going to happen. And the other thing, is very important, I believe wages will start going up. They haven't gone up for a long time. I believe wages now, because the economy is doing so well with respect to employment and unemployment, I believe wages will start to go up. I think that'll have a tremendously positive impact on race relations. I have
Wow, that was something else. President Trump, amid the backlash over his conflicting tweets and statements, going off in extraordinary fashion, an event where he signed an executive order on the infrastructure permitting process, which changed off of that subject pretty quickly into the president strongly defending his initial response to the Charlottesville violence. It's interesting, President Trump said his statement on Saturday condemning the violence and hatred on many sides, and then his staff spent insisting that he was condemning the Ku Klux Klan and Nazis and white supremacists, and he was not equating them with the counter-protesters, some of whom obviously were also violent, that he was focusing on the Nazis and the racists who had come into this progressive college town and marched and chanted, saying anti-Semitic things and racist things. And then he went and said the statement that people wanted him to make. He did that yesterday, in which he specifically condemned these groups, the Klan, white supremacists, and Nazis. And then here we have President Trump revealing that actually what he said to begin with was what he meant, that both sides were to blame. Both the Nazis and the Klansmen and the white supremacists and the alt-right and the counter-protesters were to blame. And in fact, not only did he say that both sides were to blame, he said that there were also good people on both sides. Not just good people in the counter-protesters, but good people amongst the Nazis and the Klansmen and the white supremacists and the alt-right. It was a stunning tour de force by President Trump. He also talked about the purpose of the march, which was, of course, from these racists and extremists. They were protesting the fact that Charlottesville is talking about getting rid of a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. And he said, well, where is that going to end? It might be Robert E. Lee one day, and then next is George Washington, and next is Thomas Jefferson, because obviously George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were slave owners as well. He refused to condemn the alt-right. He demanded that a reporter who asked about the alt-right define what that means. Let's take this in with our panel. It was a lot to see.